Okay, right, get this. But they don't have enough to eat. So the man lays awake at night for Dad. What can we do? And then his wife says, we'll take them into a forest and we'll build them a fire shortly before we abandon them. But we'll build them a fire first. I'm not completely heartless. So the two kids, Hansel and, according to this, Gretel, couldn't sleep because they were hungry. So they overheard everything that their parents were saying. And he goes outside and picks up a load of pebbles. I'm assuming he's going to use them for, like, the trail back home. Okay, so they've woken up the next morning, and the wife says, get up, you sluggards. She's about to abandon them. You'd be nice to them on the last day, surely. Surely! Like, she just wakes them up with like an insult. What a bitch. So they've been walked into forest, and Hansel has been dropping these little stones behind him to leave a trail. And then their parents got them to build this little pile of wood and made them fire. Alright, well, you go for a nap here, we'll go cut wood, and when we're done, we'll come fetch you. Done. Ah, you know he left the trail of stones. Apparently it actually works on this one, and he follows them back home to his house. And he knocks on his door and his mum opens it, and instead of being like, oh my god, how did you get here? She literally goes, why the hell did you sleep for so long? Oh, I really don't like it. Oh, this is weird. The first time, there wasn't much food, so they sent them away and they immediately came back. But it's fine, but apparently this has happened again, and now the evil mother is just saying, well, we'll have to send them away again. So Hansel and Gretel are awake again because they're hungry, and they hear their mother. I'd be quite annoyed if my mum kept on trying to abandon me in a forest and I knew about it, but apparently they just take it all in stride. So Hansel's like, alright, I'll go get more pebbles. You know, we've got to go through all of this again. So he creeps to the front door, and the wife's locked it this time so he can't get out. So this time he crumbles up his bread on the way to leave a breadcrumb trail. We're back on the story that I know. Good. The dad built them a fire again, because apparently the parents aren't very original. They didn't think of any special way to abandon their children for the second time. So they fell asleep, woke up late at night, and then Hansel was like, it's alright, the moon will come out, we'll see breadcrumbs, go home. But birds have eaten them. And they walk all day and night, and eventually they collapse, because they're tired. By a tree. Okay, right. So 3 days on, they genuinely think they're gonna die, and you can understand they haven't eaten anything, they're still walking. Oh no. And then they see this really, really white bird. So they follow this bird, and they follow it to, guess what? The gingerbread house. Which, first of all, I would have my doubts about that. But they don't. They immediately go in and start eating it. If I saw a house that looked like it was made of gingerbread, I wouldn't actually think it was. I wouldn't instantly throw myself at it. I'd be a bit suspicious. But apparently they're not. And after a bit, they hear a voice crying from inside going, nibble, nibble, gnaw, who is nibbling at my little house? Fair question. And then the children answer, the wind, the heaven-born wind. How did they think that was going to work? First of all, the wind doesn't answer, but apparently this works for a little bit. Who would believe that? Who goes, oh, the wind, the heaven-born wind? That's clearly the wind. Oh, this tale's so much stupider than I remember. Huh. The witch has been quite nice here. She comes out on crutches. People in crutches aren't that frightening. And the witch says, oh dear children, what's happened to you? Come on inside. And then she gives them pancakes, which is lovely, and sugar and apples and nuts. Good. I quite like the witch for a second. Oh, next time, the old witch had only pretended to be so kind. Here we go. So the witch is evil, right? And she eats kids that come to her house. Classic for a fairy tale, they making a living. So when they've both fallen in some kind of sugar-induced coma, she takes Hansel and drags him to the shed. Every day for about 4 weeks, the witch has been going out to Hansel and saying, stick your finger through this hole, and she feels it and feels if he's fast enough yet. And every day, because her eyesight is shite, he takes a bone from one of his last meals, sticks it through a hole, she feels that, and goes, oh, he's still skinny, and walks away. However, after 4 weeks of this, the witch is getting annoyed and says to Gretel, I am going to eat your brother whether or not he's done. Whether he's fat or thin, tomorrow I'm having him. Because apparently she's still telling Gretel everything. Why? Why does she feel this need to share with Gretel her plans? So next day, the witch goes to Gretel and she says, doing some baking today, you're going to cook your brother. So if you could crawl inside that oven and check if it's hot enough, that'd be great. Thank you. And Gretel goes, I'm not too sure about that, because obviously the witch has decided Gretel's going to crawl in, I'm going to shut the door, and then, you know, I can eat 2 children. Which in all fairness is quite greedy. I can eat 2 children, that's quite a lot. I can handle about 1 whole pizza. 2 children, that's fucking loads. It's not like she's got a freezer or anything. But regardless, she wants to cook Gretel. Gretel cottons onto this, and she's like, I'm not quite sure how. Like it's that hard to climb into an oven. But apparently the witch believes her and goes, oh, you silly child. It's even big enough for me to climb in. I'll show you. So she sticks her head in the oven, and Gretel kicks her. She literally just kicks her and pushes her inside the oven and closes her. And Gretel runs off, and I quote, the godless witch miserably burnt to death. How harsh is that for a children's tale? You can't have long, slow deaths in a children's tale. That's not very Disney. Gretel runs and unlocks the door to to Hansel's shed. You know, it says the witch dies a horrible slow death, and she was really quick to get Hansel back. I'm guessing she's still screaming horribly as they're in the house. But apparently this doesn't put them off. They still rummage around all of her junk and find in boxes and chests just pills and jewels and stuff. They leave the witch's house and they go to a river. And Gretel sees a duck and goes, "Oh, it's okay. We will sit on that duck and ask it for a ride across." How is that ever going to work? I've seen children and I've seen ducks and I've seen them beside each other. That is never gonna work. Even big ducks, even like swans, that is never gonna work. She gets it to come over by singing this really, really crap rhyme. Apparently the duck understands song. We've gone back to Disney format here. The duck comes over and Hansel sits on it, which apparently is fine. And he says to Gretel, "Come on, sit beside me and we'll go across." And Gretel, suddenly sensible, says, "Oh no, that duck couldn't possibly bear both our weight. It couldn't bear one of their weight. What are they on about? What duck in the world can bear the weight of a child? Especially Hansel, after he's been fed massive dinners each day and is now presumably quite fat." So eventually they get home and they knock on the door and their dad opens it. And apparently, and I quote, "The woman, however, was dead." That's it. That's all we get told about that. She just died somehow. And obviously they give him all of the precious jewels and pills and stuff, and they're rich, they're happy. Happy ending. I have an issue here. If I had been abandoned twice by my parents, if I'd been abandoned twice by my parents and I'd found all these riches, I wouldn't fucking go home to them. I wouldn't go, "Hey, abusive parents, I've made you rich." I'd go to a town. I don't need them, they've abandoned me twice, but they just go home to these horrible parents because they don't know the mother's dead. Since when have fairy tales become so stupid? What was that? Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to that. I'm definitely never going to read to children as a job. If you like this video, please subscribe to me. Or like it. Thumb it. Give it a thumbs up. That's good.